Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Thursday, April 18th special meeting of the Board of Education. All rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the revised agenda. May I have a motion to approve the revised agenda?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes. Are there any questions? May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Superintendent's recommendation.
I'm going to go and sit at that table up there. Good evening. I want to start by providing a state budget update. The governor has submitted a budget extender through tomorrow, so at this point, we do not have a completed governor's budget. But nonetheless, we are required to present this budget by today, so I will proceed with my budget presentation. Every year, we look to refine the budget process and our presentation to the school board and community. It is important to our school community to have a clear understanding of our goals and how the budget is going to support the district in attaining those goals. I want to thank everyone who contributed to the development of this year's superintendent budget presentation recommendation. It takes a lot of work and collaboration to develop a budget that supports the needs of the students and staff with consideration to the taxpayers. I also want to thank the Board of Education for their support in the work we do. Every year I talk about budget priorities. This year we have 3 priorities. The first priority, and is always what I talk about, safety and security. Number one, we focus on providing students with a quality education and improving student outcomes. We take a multi-pronged approach to this school security. We have school resource officers and safety officers in every building. We currently have new digital radios ensuring we can communicate district-wide in case of any emergency. Procedures in place such as credential exchange, visitor management systems for all visitors entering the buildings. Finally, collaboration with PNW BOCES to enhance our emergency response protocol for the district and individual buildings. Lastly, or secondly, maintain programs that support the needs of our students. Every year, we look closely at the ever-changing needs of our students. We then evaluate program offerings and make modifications as needed. It is important that our course offerings prepare our students for jobs not only for today, but also for the future. Lastly, provide staff with resources and professional development that align with New York State standards. We know that one of the most important resources we can provide our teachers is high-quality professional development. This year, for example, we selected a new reading program, InterReading, for our K-5 students. Teachers will be provided with resources and professional development to help our students in the area of reading and writing. This selection was the work of a committee composed of teachers, administrators, K-5, and Ms. McCleary served on the committee as a sitting BOE member. Before we continue, I want to address questions about how many students we serve in Monroe-Woodbury. Student enrollment is broken into 2 categories, what I call brick and mortar, students who attend our school buildings. We currently have 6,532 students in our brick and mortar buildings. The second group of students are district of residence, students who reside in our district but do not go to our schools. District of residence students include special education students who are assigned to schools outside of our district for services. We have approximately 195 out-of-district students. The second group in this category is students who do not attend our schools but are entitled to transportation, textbooks, and other services as mandated by law. We have approximately 2,500 students. Since 2020, enrollment has decreased by 126 students. So this budget supports a total of approximately 9,200 students. One of the most important investments that families make is where they live. This slide illustrates the variety of programs our MW students have access to. We provide many opportunities to help our students decide for themselves what their futures will look like. Our mission statement speaks to lifelong learners. By providing our students with an excellent education, as well as engaging them in music, art, athletics, after-school clubs, and more, our students have variety opportunities to engage in activities that bring them joy and a love of learning. Here are some of the opportunities our students have to engage in after-school activities. Our elementary students have 13 after-school activities. Our middle school students have 20 after-school activities, and our high schools have 54 after-school activities that they can choose from. In athletics, our middle school has 22 modified teams. Our high schools have 49 teams. For 13 consecutive years, the district has been recognized as the best community for music education in the country. Our 3-5 buildings, the middle school and the high school, present drama productions annually that give hundreds of students the opportunity to be in the spotlight on the stage or work behind the scenes. This year, we have 1 National Merit Scholarship winner to be announced in May and 4 National Merit Scholarship commended students. We have 1 Odyssey of the 9 team from Pine Tree headed to the World's Finals. And our high school students have 3 AP courses, 10 AP dual enrollment college courses, and 31 college courses to choose from. Our high school students have been accepted to some of the most prestigious schools, such as Yale, Princeton, Columbia, Cornell, Johns Hopkins, to mention a few. We also have students who will be graduating and have chosen a path in the trades, such as electricians or plumbers, or have chosen a career in military. Our mission is important to support the needs of all our students, help them develop their path, and provide guidance throughout the way so that they can live a fulfilling life. Slide number 4. So this is the 2% tax cap formula that is not actually a 2% tax cap. So we begin with the prior year's tax levy, and then we go through a series of multiplications, additions, subtractions, to get us all the way down to our maximum allowable levy. And this year's maximum allowable levy is $135,572.42, which would give us a tax cap of 5.3. We are not going to a 5.3 tax cap. We believe that we would present a tax levy that's appropriate and fair at 1.78. This is about state aid. So just a comparison. So last year's state aid to this year's state aid, we have an increase of 8.9. Our school tax levy last year was 0. This year is 1.78. And so what I did is I took a look at last year's presentation, and there was a conversation, I believe, Michael, it was you who asked, so is foundation aid part of state aid? And so I don't know if Michael is here. He's here. I asked Michael to put a graphic together because Patrick's not here and he doesn't like to add anything, so I took advantage of that. And I added a graphic. So here is a graphic because I thought it was the teacher in me. Don't tell Patrick I did this. I wanted people to understand how this aid works. So foundation aid really looks at 4 categories, and it looks at the district wealth ratio, pupil need demographics, CPI or inflation, and enrollment. And it takes all of that information and decides how much foundation aid a school district will get. On the other side, then you have something like transportation aid. And transportation aid is a flat number. I know that now it's at 70%. So that's a different way of looking at things, but it is all part of the state aid that we get. That was your question last time. And I know what Patrick said. He said it is part of it, but it's different than everything else. So I wanted to make sure that people and the community understood how the foundation aid works. So here is a comparison between years. So last year, we received approximately 38% of our entire budget by state aid, and then the community paid 61%. This year, you'll see that they're paying 40% using state aid to 59%. And again, that's just to show you an example. And if you look up there, there's a little box that reads, about 10 years ago, we were receiving somewhere between 28 and 30% in state aid. So there's been a significant difference. So here's the budget presentation, the proposition. It's proposition number one. There is no other proposition. Proposition number one is that we're recommending a budget of $223,614,319, and that we are also asking to have an assigned appropriated fund balance of $1 million, and that's really to purchase our buses. So that's proposition number one. Buses are included in that proposition. And we're looking at comparisons. So over the past, I'd say about 5 years, you see that the highest budget-to-budget increase was at 6.76, and that was really due to inflation. And as you can see, that's coming down. But I do want to talk about why we're still at 4.93. So there's 3 things that are driving that. Number 1 is salaries, number 2 is fringe benefits and health, and number 3 is contract transportation. Those are the 3 big drivers that have, drives it to be 4.93. And then our tax levy. So we've had tax levies as high as 3.85 over the past 10 years, and as low as 0% that we recommended last year. And again, this year it's at 1.78. This is the one slide I don't like to present, but it's really about what happens if we take this to the voters once and it doesn't pass. We have to go for a second time, and if we go for twice and we don't get voters' approval, we have what's called a contingent budget. There are rules about what things will be cut, but they give you examples as, transfers to capital, so we won't get any school buses, any kind of equipment, and district-wide building improvements will not happen as a result of that. And then upcoming budget dates. Today is a day that I present the budget. As I shared with you, we still don't have the governor's budget, but we're required by law to present this budget today. I think we did a really good job of presenting the best budget that we can. We believe that no matter what the governor comes out with, we'll be okay. But that's today. Then tomorrow we'll have to hand in our property tax report card. On May 8th, we have a budget public hearing where people can get up and speak, and oftentimes people say, well, why do you have a public comment after you've already approved it? That's just how it is. That's the recommendation, not recommendation, that's the way they have laid this out. Those are the dates that come to us from the state. And then on May 9th, we have to mail the budget notice. On May 15th, we have our Crusader chat. Now, that chat is going to be filmed beforehand, but it will be released to the public. On the 15th, usually what Carol does is she puts a notice out and asks people to ask, any questions that they have. We'll respond to them, and then we'll put the tape out. On the 21st, this is a really important date. You often hear me say, exercise your right to vote. We want people to come out and vote, so please do that. You'll also be voting for BOE elections, so make sure you come out and exercise your right to vote. And then on June 18th, so hopefully we won't use that date, we have a state budget revote, so those are for school districts that didn't pass the budget the first time.
Elsie,
Yes.
if we can just make sure this gets updated, because the May 15th date isn't on the one that I'm pulling up here, and then you obviously added that nicely.
We did, yes. We added that at the last minute, yes.
The updated one's on the website.
Oh, it is,
It's
because
on
I'm
the board
in
docs.
there now.
It's in board docs.
That's right.
That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Refresh it.
We're updating it. We'll take care of it. And then I have any questions.
Initial question.
Yes.
I think I know the answer, but I just want to make sure for everyone listening. Any kind of increase isn't due to the capital improvement project.
Say that again.
Any increase in taxes isn't due to the capital improvement projects.
The capital improvement projects that we just voted on?
Right.
No.
Exactly.
No, okay.
Just want to make sure everyone's aware.
No.
So I do have 2 questions. Line item 1240, chief admin, it's up 30.55%. And I just thought maybe we should, for public consumption, discuss why
Right.
such an increase there.
So the board is planning on selecting the new superintendent, and that superintendent should officially begin July 1. I won't be retiring until August 31st, so that really is accounting for having 2 superintendents at the same time for 2 months.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then number 1680, and this is probably going to be for Bargoff, it's central data processing is up 27.61%.
So one of the piece that we always do is we refine what we purchase and how we purchase. And that's every year a budget improvement cycle exercise. What we have we were buying directly. Now we can buy through BOCES, which helps us with the aid back as well as some more security and data privacy perspective. So we move from one bucket to the another bucket.
Okay, so minus in one, up in
And then
the
up
other.
in the other one, yes.
Thank you very much. That was all I had.
Okay. Any other questions? It's okay that Patrick's not here, because I can phone a friend, I can pick any one of them, they can answer it. I'll put them on the spot. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adoption of the proposed 2024-2025 budget and property tax report card. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of Orange Ulster BOCES administrative budget and cooperative board members. Is there any discussion, questions? May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Approval of the revised instructional calendar. Any questions? May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Personnel, Ms. Huck.
I'd like to ask for approval for the items listed under personnel, but before we take it to vote, I would like to acknowledge a few people in attendance in the audience tonight. First, we have Olivia Pietrobrono, who will be teaching at Pine Tree. You can stand up. Next, we have Caitlin Codo, who will be teaching at North Main. We have a few administrators as well. Randy Connolly will be recommended for our new Director of Secondary Special Education. And Mr. Roger Davis will be recommended for Principal of North Main Elementary School. I do also want to point out that the four individuals I mentioned today all have a history in the district, and this will not be their first time being employed starting in September. So thank you for sticking with us, and we are very excited for the future ahead of us. Thank you.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Business and financial? Who's handling that for Patrick?
I am. I'd like to recommend approval for items 9.1 to 9.10.
Does anyone have any nice hard questions for
No.
us? Please. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
No, you're not.
Veto. Committee on Special Education and Preschool Education, may I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Update on superintendent search, Ms. McCleary.
Yes, I just want to pull up my. Hi, good evening. Even though this was a special meeting, we did want to provide an update on how the superintendent search is going. So this document that we had prepared will actually be posted to our district website, either tonight or tomorrow by Mrs. Spenley. So everything that's kind of written here will be up on the website for those to be able to take a look and view. And as always, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of the board members. All of our information is on the website. So as of the close of the application on March 22nd, we had 16 people who applied for the position. The board has received all of the reports from the company district-wise regarding the survey results and the climate report from all interactions with the stakeholders. So those were detailed documents that each one of us did receive, and basically it broke down the feedback that was given during the forums that we had, and also any emails and the results of the survey specifically. We did not receive any names or classifications. It was strictly kind of like either a synopsis of what was said, or in the email situation, we did receive exactly what was written minus any names. So we were able to read through all those documents. The board will now meet with, district-wise has been vetting all of those 16 candidates and conducting their own formal screenings and informal background checks. Our attorneys will conduct the final background checks. The board will meet with district-wise, and they will present all of the applicants to us. Explanations will be given as to why each person was or was not selected. The goal for district-wise will put forth the top candidates based on the criteria that was put forth by the Board of Education and all of the community stakeholders. The board will then conduct interviews with these candidates. All board members will be present. The interview questions will be formulated from the responses and feedback that were given by all of the stakeholders as to what they value and what they are seeking in the next superintendent. Once initial interviews have been conducted, the board will interview the final candidates. The cabinet, minus Mrs. Rodriguez, will sit in on these interviews in a listening capacity. The cabinet will provide critical feedback as to positive and negative attributes of these candidates. The board will review and discuss. Any decision made is the sole responsibility of the 9 Board of Education members. We aim to have the new superintendent selected by the end of May with a special meeting to appoint. The projected start date for the new superintendent is July 1st, 2024. There will be a 2-month overlap with Superintendent Rodriguez, so this newly hired superintendent will begin with a title of Deputy Superintendent. On August 31st, when Mrs. Rodriguez leaves us, the title will change to Superintendent. The board would like the community to know that we are committed to selecting the most qualified candidate. We are thankful to each and every stakeholder that met with or sent emails to district-wise to provide valuable feedback. This input is guiding us to make a selection that aligns with Monroe-Woodbury's mission statement and one that all stakeholders can stand behind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions? May I have a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss annual probationary staff review and pending legal issues?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.